Hey, welcome back to the 100 Movements podcast. We are in the next to last episode, and we are exploring liminality and communitas. So if you've tracked with the 100 Movements podcast, you know we've explored the elements of MDNA, but we're in the last episode of a series where we're going through episode by episode, just looking at this book that Monica and Jeremy Chambers have written called Kingdom Contours, that takes these big ideas that sometimes can live in this very academic cerebral space and look at how do we contextualize these? How do we make them practical? How do we live this out in a movemental form of Christianity? We've encouraged you to pick up the book Kingdom Contours, grab a group of friends, explore this together. If you're on week 7 and you haven't done that, it's okay. You can go back and do it right now. Just start at the beginning. You'll have a head start. It'll be great. But today we're going to do this deeper dive into liminality, communitas, and then the next time we're together, we'll do sort of a wrap-up overview of this series. So, Jeremy and Monica, welcome back.
Thanks.
Let's get into the flow, the framework we've been in of exploring foundations, paradigms, and tools. So talk to me about these two not made up words of liminality, communitas. Let's go with the foundations here.
Yeah. We use the phrase deep community, and I think in our chapter we actually say something like taking risks by faith. So liminality is that sort of like extraordinary it's like a phenomenon, it's a bonding effect that's happening in danger or when there's risk. So when you're at the edge of chaos, you're not in the chaos, you're at that fine line, that edge. It's that place where the challenge is what we could say it's optimally beyond you. It's not terribly beyond you. It's at the right place where you're being stretched forward. And it's not underwhelming, but it's not overwhelming, but it's just right to like pull you into a place of like fresh dependence on the Lord
and on each other
and on one another. Yeah. So and it's in that place where you get this communitas or this deeper community. And just think of you'll hear of people who go through like if people go through some sort of crisis together, they come out on the other end, and it's like the crisis makes them almost like better friends than they would have ever been if the crisis hadn't happened. It's that kind of phenomenon. Church planning is always a crisis. No, but like when we do step out into mission and when we're like actively engaging the Missio Dei and the context that we're called to, and we're looking at the brokenness, we're coming in contact with people who are in great need and they're in their pain, right? Like for those who go out into those places together, we do experience a bit of liminality. Our former solutions aren't always the right solutions. So we have to like, our discernment has to grow. We become someone new in the process of engaging these new tensions. And that's anything else that you would add to either of those?
I think there is something to the brilliance of this being part of the MDNA that like I think often people who are in environments that are comfortable with community, they long for this. Like they might feel belonging in certain ways, or they might feel known in certain ways, but there's a desire. I think there's a human desire that God, I think, has put in us to want to be in spaces that are stretching for that allow for that deeper sense of community. And so I mean, you see it often with certain people in certain environments who are like, ooh, they almost get like antsy, and they're like, we need to go do something, or we need to, and I think there's something to that of like there are ways in which we can enter into certain amounts of risk for this for the sake of building deeper community, which is what this whole thing is about.
And just a little like geeky note, you can go on like Google Trends and look up when words like hit their zenith in terms of search terms. And I forget exactly when it is for liminality. But it's been more, if I remember correctly, liminality is taking like a big spike during the pandemic and afterwards. But Alan Hirsch was saying that word back in 2004. So
Yeah.
props to
Yeah.
him. He was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really kind of like using it when no one was. And now it's kind of getting
Yeah.
used in a pop culture way that
Yeah.
I'm often like, interesting. Cause and to be fair, I think from my understanding of Hirsch, he's not just using this as in its plain sense. He's uploading some theological
Yeah.
connotation here of like in the Holy Spirit,
Mm.
we like when we're like following the Holy Spirit, there will be this like stretching liminality that we experience in this world. And I mean that so I hope we can retain some theological connotations with the word going forward too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know Hirsch borrowed it from a sociological concept that's like, you want to get really geeky, go figure out where the word started and
Yeah.
Yeah.
explore all of that.
Right.
But yeah, that's such a good word there of, yeah, just the theological invitation to go. The Holy Spirit is always drawing us into places that we haven't been and where we're headed. And the liminality or the taking risk is, do you want to join him there?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And do you want to do it with a few people that will become like family?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So, any more on the foundations before we jump to some paradigm ideas?
Yes. Like the one foundation that I find to be just like essential for this is that friendship sparks movements.
Mm,
And C.S. Lewis says this. So if you read the Four Loves, when he talks about friendship, he comments on how it's real friendship. It's more than companion, right? Like a horse can be your companion, a dog can be your companion, but they're not your friend. At least according, I mean, to the history of. I mean, I know I maybe I just offended some people.
you
Um,
did. You did. Yeah.
but Lewis says friendship sort of starts when somebody says something and you go, oh really? I thought I was the only one, right? Like
Mm,
there is a sense of like deeper connection of like you're uniting around a common pathos, a common
yeah.
like there's a cause or a passion that you could spend your whole life like drilling down into with this other person.
Mm,
And he even said there was some of his friends who for years they would talk about, I mean, they loved talking about literature. And it was only after a couple years of like friendship that they were like, hey, what do you actually do for a living? Right? Like, in other words, the other details of the life were not what was most essential, but it was this common passion that united them in friendship. And he says, out of that kind of real friendship, I mean, not Facebook friendship, but like real deep connection around common causes. And out of that, a movement can spark. In fact, Lewis says perhaps no movement has ever started without friends at the beginning.
mm,
Good or bad.
wow.
Good or bad. And I think
Yeah.
he cites Marxism, that like it's not necessarily a good movement, but it started when you look at its roots, there was a few people in Karl Marx's life who like they kind of obsessed around this together. And it was the mutuality of passion that overflowed into a move. It sparked a movement. Um, and I think, I mean, think about the ministry work that we do. If we're not friends with the people we're working with, and I know there's people who may watch this and this may be a provoking moment. If there's not friendship, then the question one question is like, why not? And the other is like, what do you need to do to just get back to actually becoming friends with them?
Yeah.
What needs to be done to discover? And it's more than just like a corporate exercise of like, we're all going to go karting together or paintballing or something. Um, which a lot of churches do that kind of stuff. Like, hey, we're going to bond as a team. We're going to do like a escape room. Um, those are good, but like, are we building
Yeah.
friendships? And I think in our time, the art of friendship has been largely lost.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I think with that, there is a sense of like I often, especially when we first started doing the micro church planting, we very quickly realized that part of learning all of this was becoming more human. It's like we were just learning how to be humans with other humans,
yeah.
in a helpful and uh, enjoyable and just good way. And so often in the last one of the last podcasts that we did here, we talked about like the in, up, and out. In the in, we started implementing like just like game nights
Hmm.
and being like, in it, part of us being able to practice the one another's together is just having fun together, and that's really valid.
Yeah.
and and part of fun and play, actually, that there is a liminal dynamic to it as well. And so if, to Jeremy's point of like, if you are partnered with people, can you spend enough non-work time with them to actually see them as friends? And
Mm,
that, out of those things comes some really cool movemental dynamics that also, like, it just doesn't feel like work. It's just
yeah.
we get to do this, as opposed to we
Yeah.
have to do this. And
Mhm.
we get to do this with these specific people that I
Yeah.
like now really love, value, and call friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking two things. One, a game night is definitely a liminal experience if you have people that are really competitive. but,
Yes.
but two, just like those that might be listening who took us up on the challenge to like get a group of friends, listen to this together, read the book, like, man, hit pause. Just have a conversation around that for a minute. Show up vulnerably with each other. What does that mean? Like, how have we demonstrated that? Do we feel that? Like, what's preventing us from just being friends together? There's a long, rich conversation in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know it when you feel the loss of them too.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And to be fair, and to encourage those at home listening to this, I mean, friendship does take time.
Yeah,
When especially if you're pioneering, you start a new community. Not everyone that comes along you is immediately a friend or going to be a friend,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
that's not what we're saying. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be the case. Um,
Right.
but am I interested in people in the way where I can become a friend to them?
yeah,
And it's critical, and so in our book, The Art of Missional Spirituality, we talk about spiritual friendship, and many people who are in like ministry leadership capacity, the stats out there are not very encouraging. Many don't have friends.
Right.
yeah,
And so, like, regaining a vision for spiritual friends, regaining a vision for real friendship, it's critical to your health and sustainability, but it's also critical to the wider movement and the health of the work that you're doing. So
yeah,
yeah, we
yeah,
can't underscore this enough.
Yeah. And I would say just a little point of like the structure affecting that dynamic.
mhm,
If we have been in a structure where because of certain positions of leadership, that person couldn't trust the people they were leading for whatever reasons, like that's already a not very healthy dynamic. Um when we're doing something like this that is a lot more movemental, is a lot more like we are side by side with people, as opposed to like on top or above people. Um,
Yeah.
the side by side dynamic actually, especially if you're not used to it, there is a time of healing and growth needs to happen, but to be able to, and this is also liminal, like to be able to take the risk
Yeah.
to start to be vulnerable and be friends with people. I mean, we had people when we first started doing the church planting who would be like, well, so what church do you go to?
Yeah.
And we're like this is our church. Like, these are our people. Like in the sense of like, not our people, but like friendship,
Yeah.
partnership, our people. Like,
Yeah.
we
This is our
belong.
tribe.
Yeah, exactly. And for so many people, it's like they would like glaze over when we would say that. And I was like, this is an interesting dynamic that you're glazing over. But it also was indicative of just the bigger culture and perspective of,
Yeah.
we can, even if we are leading, we actually can see the people we are with as being with them. And they, again, if they are carrying part of the community and it's not just one person carrying it, then we are actually partners, and we can build trust.
Yeah. That's good. All right. Well, take me into the paradigms we need to hold.
Yeah. So a paradigm that was really helpful for us early on was storming, norming, forming, storming, norming, and performing.
Yeah. By Bruce Tuckman.
There you go.
Apparently, he's like the 1965 psychologist who came up
Came
with
up
this
with it.
idea.
This was super helpful for us when we were first starting communities, because too often people gather together, they form, and then at some point there's a storming, meaning everybody's personalities start to clash a little bit, maybe.
Boundaries get pushed.
Boundaries
Mhm.
get pushed. Everybody's also kind of like trying to see, like, can I actually be vulnerable here? Can I belong? So they like do little things to see, almost to test it. And a lot of this happens very subconsciously. Like, it's not like, I'm going to do this. It just
Yeah.
happens. And in that storming, there are a lot of people who don't realize that this is an important part of community building, that go, oh no, it's over.
It's dysfunctional. I'm out.
Right.
Right.
Where really this is actually a super important time of building a community. And when the community can move past the storming into norming, and you see this even in like family relationships, different dynamics where, so
Yeah.
like, this is really normal in all sorts of community environments. The storming happens, and then there's a flow. There's a like, oh, we can norm. Like, there's something normalized that happens here. We know how to interact with each other. There's something really good. And then we can perform. So like, because
And not in an artificial way, but like we can do the function. Yeah.
right. So like,
Yeah.
now we can work as a team really well, because we've gone through all of this. We worked through difficulty. We've committed to one another. We have learned how to work with each other. And because of that, we can now actually work as a team. And it has been so cool to see communities do that process. And as we've come along, even other people starting communities in that storming, they're like freaking out, and we're like, stick with it. Stay committed to each other. And when they do, the flow and the like partnerships that happen, it's like so beautiful to see.
The fruit of integrity, and there's been many of times in various communities where for both of us, we were so tempted to just be like, I'm done. This is rough. This is too hard. And I mean, sometimes it is over. But in many of the cases, when we felt like the Lord was reminding us to like hang in there, be patient with people, just as the Lord is patient with us.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, the friendships deepened, like we worked through things. And there was always a question of like, Do I want to be the kind of person who runs away at every sign of adversity? Or do I want to be the kind of person who can grow and help others to grow? And also, like, I need continuity in my life. If I just run
Mm.
away from every conflict,
Yeah.
when will I ever like gain the strength of working through my own mess? Right?
Mhm.
And not everyone's in the place where they're able to handle it, right? So we understand that.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, there's a call to like grow in through it.
yeah, I think something also important to note with this like order of the words and the way is that sometimes after performing, there might be something that happens in the community or whatever that actually pulls us back into storming.
Yep.
And now we have to deepen some of that, and then norming happens again. And so this is actually not a like once and done thing, but
Yeah,
even as
yeah.
the community starts to be with each other for longer, there's more times where we get the chance to actually be committed to each other again, to be patient, to forgive, to work through stuff so that then we can keep going.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's really good. I believe it's a cycle for sure. Like, I would say in every microchurch context I've been in, every not even microchurch, but just it's like that that pull back to storming and norming again is like, just expect it.
Yeah.
So, like, if you go in with that paradigm that this is what's going to happen,
Mm.
and you have, like, a healthy framework of, like, "Okay, it's going to get hard," but then, like, there's something on the other side of that. Um, I could go in sort of with that mindset, but there's, like, can we talk about tools, practices that help us journey through those phases?
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, and I think it's a foundation, it's a paradigm, and it's a tool, but really like
Yeah, yeah.
the fruit of the spirit, right? And we like spend a good period of this chapter talking about the fruit of the spirit. And I think it serves us well and it serves our community well to like really spend time with that Galatians 5 passage.
Mhm.
Really spend time getting to know these fruits
Mhm.
and asking about ways that the spirit of God wants to like integrate them into us. As we said in an earlier episode here, are we becoming the types of people who exude these fruits? Because if we are, then that bears out in community, right? A person of peace
Mhm.
actually isn't just a calm person, they are a calming presence. Like they
Mm.
are a
Yeah.
person who brings peace as well. A person of great joy is contagious. Someone who's patient will work through, like, will actually is able to retain the perspective in the midst of conflict to like de-escalate and see a path forward, right? So, but that requires kindness and gentleness and lots of self-control. Um, and so really exploring the fruits of the spirit, I would say like as a very practical sense and like the fruits are, like I said, they're a foundation here. They're a paradigm for how we can see differently, but then it's a tool
Yeah.
that we can like, there are tangible ways to orient ourselves towards the fruits.
I think something else, I we don't have it in the book, but,
You're hitting the
I
last question.
yeah, um, I think to have a ongoing practice of, the is it Matthew 18? The whole, like, look at the log in your own eye before you actually address the speck in your sibling's eye. Um, I feel like a if we have that practice, at least in our experience in both of our families, like that we grew up in, have been ministry families. A lot of the community problems have happened when somebody came addressing someone's speck before they addressed the log. And if they adjust the log in their own eye, I mean, the speck may still need to be addressed, but the posture is so different. As opposed to, like, it's the one posture, if I'm just coming to somebody and addressing their speck without having acknowledged the log, I'm going to come self-righteous, thinking I'm above, I'm better. But when I have dealt with the Lord and said, Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And
Mhm.
then I come to someone else. I'm coming more as a peer and in the fallenness, in the not being correct, and saying, hey, I'm seeing this, but I'm no better.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like if more of us did that,
Mhm.
so many more conflicts, I think, would be resolved in healthier ways, because we are actually coming alongside, as opposed to coming from like a place of perceived authority, or like I'm better than you. And so, I mean, it's not an easy practice to do at all.
No.
We've had to do it recently
Yeah.
I mean, as practitioners in our contexts, like there
Yeah.
have been some scenarios where like Monica and I were talking and I was like, that guy is just like, he's making me so upset. And then it was like the Lord was reminding us, like, well, wait, what in you needs to change first? And then once
Mhm.
we dealt with that, it was like, oh, I actually understand what's going on with that other person now. Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like what I'm picking up out of this, just internalizing, listening to what you're saying too, is like, um, the neediness that you show up with in that,
Mm.
um, becomes like a personal, um, liminal risk. Like I'm risking also, rather than addressing the speck in your eye, beginning with a sister or brother saying like, "Hey, I got this log in here, and I actually need you to help me pull it out." And in the process of demonstrating that, it creates a culture where they're willing to go, I got this speck over here. If you could like take a look, you know what I mean? Like it, because for them, like what looks like the speck in their eye to them is really close. So it might feel like a log, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
but if we go back to like the original sociological idea is this guy studying these African tribal practices of the young boys being taken into the bush and left.
Yeah.
And if they make it back, they get
Mhm.
to transition into becoming men.
Mm-hmm.
To like reinfuse the theological sense around it, though, is like
Yeah.
if you go hyper individual, you won't make it back.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I like, but the reality is the hyper individual is they have strengths and they have weaknesses, and you have
Mm.
to show up needy to go like, I can help you do this, but I need you to help me do this.
Yeah.
And I was talking with a good friend of mine recently about this idea of relationships, communal work, but also the individual work around our we were just talking about wholehearted leaders. And he said, man, you can do like, you can coach people around really strong emotional health work where they're like internally looking inward and spending time with Jesus, abiding, taking Sabbath rest. And they're just like, they're working it out. And that's beautiful. And I'm glad you're doing that. But they'll never realize how much of a narcissist that they are unless they sit with other people and it gets revealed. Like you
Yeah.
have to do relational work for
Yes.
some of those rough edges
Yeah.
to get worked out.
Mhm.
Yes.
And it is risky to put yourself into a community where you go, hey, I am weak. God have mercy on me, a sinner, and I need you to shape me.
Mhm.
And it's in that work that you do get like the, oh, you risked a lot telling me that. Yeah, like I could have rejected you and you bailed out, but like the continual returning and repairing and saying the hard things is what gets us
Mhm.
that deep family.
Yeah. And to be real, like there have been times we had somebody who would say in the community, if you are leading out, you should be the chief confessor.
Mm.
Um so exemplify what that means. And obviously, discernment is
appropriately.
right. Be discerning, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there are things that
All right, everyone, I got an hour. I'm going to tell you everything wrong.
Yeah.
right. So be discerning, but also there is the real thing of like, as we have tried to practice that, we did have people who could not accept that we had faults. They were like, you're supposed to be this. They had, I guess, put us on some pedestal, and we're like, no. But just because they had done that, they did leave. They were like, nope. And that's a real dynamic that
Yeah.
Some people are unable to handle the weight of recognizing brokenness, and they're
Yeah.
not in a place where they're ready for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
still
just to say,
creating
that's okay.
spaces. Yeah, exactly. Right. And that fact doesn't negate the importance of doing this, nor the beauty, the true beauty that comes out of it when we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. All right. If you had 90 seconds just to go, hey, here are our final words on liminality, communitas, or the language that you use in the book, what would you say?
I mean, I would just highlight that friendship thing. Not everyone's gonna be your friend, but like, if you, for those who are listening, and like we're saying this as we went through a season of burnout, really hardcore. Like I was like 2 steps away from heart attack kind of burnout. Like it was intense. And coming out of that season, rediscovering the value of friendship was part of the way that the Lord was giving me life again. So spend time with that friendship piece.
And I would just say, I think Bonhoeffer says it in Life Together of like, if we idolize the community, we destroy the community. And sometimes the idolizing of the community can look like trying to safeguard and not take risks. And so sometimes actually taking those risks together is what will create the ideal that a person who's idolizing the community actually wants. But to really be aware of that, are you idolizing this ideal of a community and so actually maybe going to create some dynamics that could destroy it? Or are you constantly having this like surrendered posture and a trust of like, you are beloved by God, so that like dynamic is there, and so you can actually interact with others in a messy way is fine. We all make mistakes, but in a confident way that as you are with others, like you can trust that God is doing a good work.
Yeah. Amen. All right. That is our last sort of deep dive into these 6 elements. So hope that you have some good pieces to walk away with, have some good conversation, and we invite you to jump in with us next week as we wrap up this series. See you next time.